Okay, so getting back into our coverage over the Dawn of DC for Superman. As a matter of fact, this is the last Dawn of DC storyline because DC is now removing the title or the label Dawn of DC off all their books. Either way, we do jump into the next storyline for Superman in the Dawn of DC. And this storyline is called Chained. Now, when it comes to the Chained arc storyline, it does take place in issues number 6, 7, 8, and 9. And so getting into issue number 6, we do pick up where our last video left off at. And of course, it picks up where Lex Luthor could possibly die. Because remember, when it came to Lex Luthor at the end of our last video, he got stabbed in prison. And so we're left to wonder, will the man die or will he survive? And when it comes to Superman, you can tell that he feels very bad about the idea of Lex Luthor currently fighting for his life, because Clark had a chance to save Lex Luthor, but unfortunately he could not get there in time, and so Lex got stabbed. And so it's Clark saying, it's my fault that Lex is right now fighting for his life. And so with Clark Kent feeling bad about the idea of not being able to save Lex, while he is going around doing different things to help out Metropolis, well, usually Clark stays behind to talk to police officers or other people or just innocent people who were nearby. But right after he takes care of different things in Metropolis, he just leaves. And you have the public realize that when it comes to Superman, he is really bothered about Lex Luthor fighting for his life. He feels really bad about the whole idea. But we have to jump over to the Daily Planet. And when we do, we get reminded that Lois Lane is currently in charge of the Daily Planet because Perry White stepped down so that he'll have the ability to run for mayor of Metropolis. Now, when it comes to Lois, she's still kind of getting used to the idea of being in charge of all these moving pieces, but she's trying her best. Now, of course, she is confronted by her husband, Clark Kent, and we get reminded that in our last video, they had learned about a certain project that Lex Luthor had worked on called Project Chain. But the thing is, unfortunately, no information out there can tell Clark nor Lois what the project was actually about. And with Lex right now technically fighting for his life in the hospital, they have no idea how in the world are they going to find any kind of information about this supposed big project that Lex never told anyone about. Except you have Lois say, there is somebody you could ask. Now, you do have Superman go over to Supercorp. Now remember, Supercorp used to be LexCorp, but it was given over to Superman. And so now it's his company, and the reason why, because Lex wants to use the company to help Superman protect Metropolis. And later on, possibly other cities around the world or other planets in the universe. Either way, when he does arrive, he is confronted by Mercy. Now, the reason why he went to Mercy is because Mercy worked very close to Lex Luthor. And so if anybody knows about all these different kind of hidden projects that Lex has done in the past, it would be her. And so it's Clark asking her, do you know about Project Chain? And she says, no, I have no idea what that project truly is. But I do know somebody who might have an idea what that project is like. Now we come to find out that Mercy meant that Superman is gonna have to ask LL01. LL01 is a hologram of Lex Luthor. Now this is really more of Lex kind of playing a mind game, not a mind game, but just playing some games with Superman. And the reason why, because in the Fortress of Solitude, there were holograms of Clark's biological parents, and they were there in the fortress to help guide Clark when he was learning about his powers in his home world. And so it's Lex saying, hey, I gave you Supercorp, and so here is a hologram of me to help guide you when you need guidance. Either way, you do have Clark ask the hologram, what is Project Chain? And you have the hologram tell Clark, oh, Project Chain was collab done by Lex Luthor and the Stryker family. The Stryker family are the same ones who own Stryker Island, where Stryker Prison is being held on. And so, of course, you're kind of like, okay, what kind of collab did they do? And you have the hologram say, oh, they worked together to create a special kind of prison. Now, when it came to Lex, he only made one kind of the special kind of prison. And that special kind of prison is being held underneath Stryker's prison. And so, of course, it was used as a way to hold somebody who was really powerful. Now, when it comes to Clark, that's not fair. And the reason why, because this prison was made to hold someone down there until they were able to be released by someone from the outside. And so that tells Clark that Lex basically locked someone away forever with no chance to be able to redeem themselves. And so Clark says that's not fair, and I feel like I should go out of my way to free that person, to give them a second chance to redeem themselves and to have a better chance in life. And so you do have Superman, Mercy, and a small group of people from Supercorp head over to the special prison. Now, when they do arrive at this special prison, we then kind of find out that Lex Luthor had made special chains for this prisoner. And how the chains actually work is that the chains use your powers against you as a way to contain you. And so when it comes to our prisoner, he has the ability of telekinesis. And so the chains use his own powers against him as a way to contain him. But either way, you do have Clark Kent go inside and begin the process of freeing the prisoner. And we kind of find out that his name is going to be Chain, or his code name is Chain. We have not learned his actual name just yet. Either way, when it comes to Chain, he's all happy and grateful about the idea that he is finally being released. Except when you have Clark mention Lex Luthor's name, well, he gets very upset because he believes that Clark is working for Lex. Now, even though Clark is working with Lex, not for Lex, it's still bad no matter what, because this was someone who was locked away by Lex Luthor. He's not happy about it at all. And so he begins to go on a rampage. And matter of fact, the same chains that were used on him to contain him, he put those chains on Superman. And so now Superman is stuck here in the prison because, again, the chains were made to use your powers against you. And so Clark's own powers are working against him. And you have Chain go into Metropolis. He says, it's time for me to destroy Metropolis, because he knows how much Lex Luthor loves this city. And so when we jump into Superman number 8, we do pick up with Perry White continuing trying to run for mayor. He's trying to win the election. Now, while he's out there giving a powerful speech about himself, but also a powerful speech about Superman, well, that is the moment when he sees that Chain has been released and now is attacking Metropolis. Except this is the moment where we kind of find out that Chain is Sammy Stryker, the son of the Stryker family, the one who actually owns the actual prison, which means they had collabed with Lex Luthor to build the prison to contain their son. Either way, homeboy is about to go on a rampage. Now, luckily for Metropolis, well, the Super family lives in Metropolis. So you have Supergirl, Superboy, really you have almost the entire Super family arrive to fight against Chain. Except Chain is a very powerful telekinesis. And so he was able to stop every single one of them in their track. Like literally, they could not get close to him at all. Now, getting back over to Superman, we still see him stuck inside the chains that were specially made to use your powers against you. And so, unfortunately, Clark can't break free at all. Except you didn't have Clark realize that when it comes to him, he has a range of different kinds of powers. And so his goal is to use all his powers at once as a way to override the chains, to make the chains technically go crazy. And so once he does that, bam, he's able to break free and get back into the battle against Chain. But getting back over to the rest of the super family, they're trying their best to fight against Chain, but unfortunately Chain is just kicking their butt all over the place. And so unfortunately our heroes may lose the battle. Now you do have Superman arrive, except he only arrives after Chain is able to examine Connor Kent, Superboy, because you have Chain say, your powers and my powers are very similar. Matter of fact, we have the same powers. And that right there is kind of like, that's pretty interesting. What does that mean? Does Chain have tactile telekinesis like Superboy does? Either way, the fight does continue on when Superman arrives. And after a few more pages of our heroes trying to fight against Chain, you then have Connor tell everyone else, hey, I know what kind of powers he has. It's not just your regular telekinesis, he has tactile telekinesis, just like me. Now, I'll explain what that means in the next chapter, but either way, you do have our heroes realize they need to think of a new game plan if they are going to be able to actually defeat Chain. Now, while you have the super family talking to one another about the powers of Chain, well, Chain is then confronted by Dr. Farm and Mr. Graft. Now remember, these two characters have been trying to get revenge against Lex Luthor, and apparently when it came to Lex Luthor, when he first arrived in Metropolis, he was a hero. He was a vigilante who went up against them. But either way, because he was able to shut them down and make Metropolis forget about them, they're now trying to come back and get revenge against him. And they know that when it comes to Lex, the best kind of way to get revenge is to destroy what he loves the most, which is Metropolis. But they also want to use Chain as well, because Chain is another person that was affected by Lex Luthor in some kind of way. Now, we do jump over to Lex, and we kind of find out that Lex was able to survive his stab wound, except now he is trying to leave the hospital to go help Superman defeat Chain. Except while he is trying to leave, well, he is confronted by Lois Lane. Now, Lois is here for two reasons. One, she wants to know more about Chain, like how in the world was Chain made when it comes to Lex Luthor? What did you do to this guy? But on top of that, how can our heroes defeat Chain? What is your method of actually bringing him down? Now, you also have Lois mention that she does not trust Lex at all, which honestly, she has the right to not trust him, because over the years of DC Comics, she had always seen Lex Luthor going after Superman in some kind of way. And every single time, Lex loses to Clark. And so it's kind of like, listen, I know that you're trying to turn over a new leaf once again. You're trying to help out Superman to protect Metropolis, but I don't trust you. And you have Lex say, I get that. But right now, you have to realize that what I'm trying to do is not just for me or for Superman, but it's also for Metropolis. And now my mistakes are coming back to bite me in the butt, but also bite other people in the butt as well. And so I need to be out there to show you guys that I am trying to be better, that I am trying to protect what I love, which is Metropolis. Now, before Lex is able to leave, well, that is the moment where he is confronted by his mother, Leticia Luthor, and I really hope I pronounce her first name correctly. Now, when it comes to Leticia Luthor, the only reason why she is here because she heard that her son Lex gave over his company over to Superman. And so she wants to make sure that her son is, still right in the mind. Now, for Lois, she is surprised to see his mother, because she believed that she was dead, because thanks to Lex and his father, they have painted the picture that Lex's mother has been dead for many years, to only find out that Lex put his mom in some kind of private island far away from Metropolis and kept her there to protect her. And she's all like, listen, that was great and all, but now I'm here to help you out, son. But I also brought somebody else. Now, as soon as she says that, Lex begins to freak out. And the reason why? Because he knows who she is talking about, and that would be his daughter. And so then we jump over to Brainiac. Now, this may seem random, and it kind of is random, but really, when it came to Joshua Williamson, he has been dropping hints left and right that sooner or later, we're going to have some kind of story arc where Brainiac is going to fight against Superman. Now, when it comes to Brainiac, the only reason why he's going back to Earth is because he wants all knowledge of Krypton, and Superman holds the final piece of the information that he is looking for. And so he is tired of always trying to grab Superman and always failing. But at the same time, he wants to study the Earth because the Earth is very unique when it comes to the rest of the planets in the universe, because Earth is the only planet where you have different kinds of people being able to gain so many different kinds of abilities, more abilities than any other planet in the universe. Either way, it's Brainiac saying, I need Superman first. Then I will study the Earth. Now, I kind of found this a little weird because, yes, I understand he should try to go after Superman to gain knowledge about Krypton, but why not Supergirl as well? Because she's also another survivor of Krypton. But hey, that's just me. Now, we also see that Brainiac is currently studying another planet that's very similar to Earth. Matter of fact, the people on that planet is very similar to humans, except their powers are really based around metal. Either way, we kind of find out that Brainiac has a small group of Zonarians working for him. Now, Zonarians, and I really hope I'm saying the name correctly, is the race that Lobo belongs to. Except this is not Lobo. This is a new group of characters that were made by Joshua Williamson for this story. And their leader is General Chakal, and he is very happy about the idea of doing dirty work for Brainiac. And so him and two others go down to this planet that Brainiac was studying, and they begin to just wreak havoc, killing off people left and right. But the last page of this chapter, we do see that Brainiac is trying to create life, a new kind of life. But the question is, what kind of life or what kind of person or being is he creating? Now, when we jump into Superman number 8, we do pick up in the past. We're not told how many years ago, but we do pick up with a young Sam Stryker. Now, when it comes to Sam, we do learn that he was given his abilities by Lex Luthor. Now, when it comes to tactile telekinesis, it's basically like you have a force field around you. And if anybody kind of gets into your area, you're then able to use your telekinesis on that person or objects in your area. And so when it came to Sammy, he gained that ability from Lex Luthor. Lex turned him into a meta-human. This was one of the early days of Lex Luthor big accomplishments that technically turned into a failure. Now, getting back over to Dr. Farm and Mr. Graff, they're trying to educate Chain here about Lex Luthor because he has been gone for a very long time. Many things had happened to Lex Luthor over the years, except when it comes to Chain, he feels like he knows everything about Lex Luthor, except you didn't have Dr. Farm and also Mr. Graff say, no, you don't know everything. Here is a quick rundown, everything you missed over the years of Lex Luthor being who he is in Metropolis. Now, getting back over to the Super Family, while you have Chain being, busy with Dr. Farm and also Mr. Graff, you have the Super Family trying to help out all the innocent people who were affected by their last battle. Now, once they're done helping people, you then have Superman and Superboy head over to where Lex Luthor is at. Now, Lex says he has a secret about Connor Kent, but unfortunately, before he is able to explain that secret, well, that is when he is attacked by Chain. Now, when it comes to Chain, he doesn't really attack Lex Luthor. What he does instead is go after Lena, Lex's daughter. And of course, you have Lex begin to beg for her life. Because even though there's bad blood between the two characters, Lex still loves his daughter very much. It's just that he is a bad father. Now, with all that being said, when it comes to Chain, he's all like, yeah, you know what? I love the idea of you begging for your daughter's life. I love the idea of seeing you beg right now. And it looks like Chain might go ahead and try to kill off Lena, but luckily Superman and Superboy were able to grab Chain and go far away from Lex Luthor, but also away from Lena as well, so that our heroes will be able to bring down Chain once and for all. Now, while you have Superman and Superboy fighting against Chain, that is when we learn more information about the character, and we kind of find out why Chain got locked up, because Chain killed his father. He killed off Sebastian Stryker, the owner of Stryker Island. And so because of that, he had to be locked away for the crimes that he had committed. Now, apparently, when it came to Chain, he did cry out for help. He cried out for Lex help, but Lex did not help him in time. And so, unfortunately, when it came to the death of his father, or the murder of his father, Chain had to get locked up. Now, something else to mention is that Chain was technically used in the creation of Connor Kent, Superboy. Because remember, Superboy is a clone, the combination of Superman and Lex Luthor. But when it comes to Superboy, unfortunately, they had a hard time copying Superman's powers. And so what they did was they gave Superboy tactile telekinesis, which of course came from Chain. And so now we know how he had gained that ability. Now, with all that being said, Clark wonders, how can I bring him down? And you have Lex say some elements do work on him, but one particular element does the best work. But unfortunately, it's dangerous towards you as well. And he is talking about kryptonite. Now, kryptonite is not really an actual weakness on Chain. What it does is that it's able to help you break through his force field, get you closer enough to try to do some damage to him. But the thing is, Chain is still a very powerful character, because even though you were able to break through his force field to get close to him, other objects around him are still be able to use as a way to do damage to you. And so even though Clark leaves, get a power suit with the gloves are being fueled by kryptonite, and he is able to get close to Chain, Chain's still able to use his powers in other kind of ways to do damage to Superman, to the point where he does damage the super suit. And here's the problem. The gloves are being fueled by kryptonite. And so now that kryptonite is going through Clark's body, he's now getting poisoned once again by kryptonite. And we already know what happened last time when Superman got poisoned by kryptonite, back at the tail end of the New 52. Either way though, while you had Chain trying to beat down on Superman, Connor was able to sneak up from behind and put on the chains that were originally used to contain Chain. And so once again, those same chains are using his abilities against him, bringing him down once and for all. The day is saved. But there is another problem, the kryptonite poisoning that's going on in Clark's body, because Chain was beating down on Superman, breaking the power suit, and all that kryptonite began to fall all over Clark's body, poisoning him. And so we get this scene right at the very end of the last chapter where it looks like Clark could possibly be really affected by the kryptonite poisoning. This could do some heavy damage to his body, to the point where he might have to sit on the sideline for a while until he is able to fully recover. And so when we get into the final chapter for today's video, we do pick up with Lois Lane kind of, reading different letters that people had written to the Daily Planet to talk to, or hopefully talk to Superman as a way to reach out to him. And of course, every single letter is just a way to say how great of a hero he truly is. And so when you dive into the opening pages of this chapter, it kind of feels like, okay, is DC going to sideline Superman once again and bring in another character to take his place, like his son, or who knows, maybe Connor Kent becoming Superman of Metropolis? There were kind of some questions here, but those questions get put to rest very quickly, because we do jump over to Perry White. And when it comes to Perry White, he also talks in a way where it's like, okay, is DC going to sideline Superman? Because you have Perry saying that he's going to stop right now trying to run for mayor and try to do other things to help out Metropolis. Until Superman is able to come back and be the protector of the city. And so it's like, okay, what is DC trying to do here? Now we jump over to Lex Luthor and we see that he's back in prison. Now while being back in prison, he is confronted by his mother. And when it comes to his mother, she's kind of like, hey, listen, I just want to say that once again, you are a failure. That one of your creations went out of their way to almost destroy the city that you love so much. Now, when it comes to Lex, he wants to make sure that his daughter is okay, that his daughter is going to leave Metropolis. Except you have his mother tell him, no, your daughter Lana does not want to leave. And matter of fact, with you being in prison, you really can't do much to her. And so she can stay here. Oh, by the way, she already finished high school a long time ago, but she got a job. She got a job at Supercorp. And we see that the reason why she got the job there is because she believes this is the place that could actually challenge her great mind. Now that is the moment where she is confronted by LL01, of course, the hologram of her father. Now when it comes to the hologram, he does inform Lana that he'll be able to give her any kind of information that she may need. And of course, meaning that he'll be able to answer any kind of questions that she may have. And of course, we know that those questions could possibly help her to get some kind of, secrets about her father. Now we do jump over to Lois Lane and Superman. And when we do, it's great news for Lois Lane because Superman finally wakes up. He gets back on his feet. It's great news, except you have Mercy walk in. Now when Mercy walks in, she said, listen, even though you are able to stand on your own 2 feet, technically, you are not ready to go back out there in the world. Your body is still recovering from kryptonite poisoning. And so until you are back at full strength, you cannot go out there. Except for Clark, it's more of, no, I have to go out there because I know what Graft and also Farm are trying to do. They're trying to build some kind of revenge team to go after Lex Luthor because they all were affected by Lex in different kind of ways. Except you didn't have Superman say, I know who they might go after next, and that will be Marilyn Moonlight. Now remember, we don't know much about the character at all, and matter of fact, the next story arc after this one gives us the origin of that character. Either way though, it's Clark saying, I know they're gonna go and try to recruit her next. Now you did have Mercy say, fine, if you are going to go out there, you need to wear a power suit so that you are still able to be protected, but to also fight against other people who may go after you. And so you have Clark grab one of the new super armor suits. Matter of fact, Superman is correct because right after he says that, we jump over to Marilyn Moonlight, who is confronted by, of course, Farm, who is trying to recruit her for his revenge team against Lex Luthor. Now, while he is trying to give her, some kind of speech, that is when you have Superman appear. Now, Moonlight is not happy about the idea of Superman trying to help her. She feels like that she should be able to handle someone like him by herself. But it's Clark saying, listen, I don't want any bloodshed between you two at all, but at the same time, I have to shut him down before he tries to do something else in Metropolis. And so it does lead into a small battle between all three characters, because Farm made sure that he had his own kind of weapons to use against Superman and also Moonlight. Except when he shoots Moonlight, it goes right through her and she releases a huge amount of energy. But because Clark was closest to her, he disappears with her, not Farm. And we're left to wonder what in the world just happened to Superman and Marilyn Moonlight. Now, when it comes to Superman, we kind of find out that he was teleported back to the 19th century. And the reason why we know this is because we do pick up in Western time, but we pick up with characters known as Nighthawk and Cinnamon. Now, these two characters, they've been around for a very long time. They were part of the idea of bringing some more Western comics into DC Comics line. Now, when it came to Nighthawk and Cinnamon, over the years, thanks to the many reboots in DC Comics, their origins have changed a lot. Either way, these two are Western heroes in the 19th century who are currently going after somebody who they believe is a criminal. Except when they go out of their way to confront this person, it's Superman wearing a Superman Western outfit. And we're left to wonder, where could this story possibly go? But with that being said, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.